Hello,
How's everyone?
Eugene and Andrea back again.
We're thanking you guys for joining us again for another reading and commentary on what's Black Glove got to do with it. Please
Yes.
take this opportunity right now. Visit webuildlegacy.com and download your free resource, the book, What's Black Love Got to Do with It.
Yeah.
We are now about to go in. Allowing your paradigm.
I get to do this.
Go ahead.
You just running over me. Okay.
I'm having fun.
You having fun.
This is some good stuff.
Whatever.
Guys.
You just don't even need to be here. No, we are talking about allowing your paradigm to be shattered. And I think we started a little bit of that. It's just asking questions, y'all. That's it. And I'm gonna tell you again. If you don't want to, go to page 48. But I think it'll bless your soul. I think it's going to be a blessing to you if you'll just listen and allow what you believe to be founded. We should not hold beliefs that we don't believe are strong enough to stand against questions.
Wow.
So
good.
This is allowing your paradigm to be shattered, because my belief is this: if you're really the greatest and you're really the strongest, then when I come at you, whatever, you still gonna be the biggest and the strongest and the greatest. So let's deal with some of these paradigms being shattered. See you on the other side.
Allow your paradigm to be shattered. Africa, also referred to as Alkebulan by some, has the most diverse people on the planet. From the Amazigh, more commonly known as Berbers, and Arabs from the north, to the Khoisan people of the south, to the Nubian people of the east, to the Bantu people who are spread throughout. Africa's ethnic groups are the most diverse, with different skin complexions, facial features, hair textures, body types, shapes, and sizes. Much like the Africans throughout the diaspora, skin complexions can show up as dark as night or as pale as the moon, and anywhere in between. While diverse in ethnicities, languages, cultures, histories, religions, etc., African people groups born on the continent share some similarities which link them to the continent and to each other. From the beginning of recorded history, Africans from northern, southern, eastern, central, and western parts of Africa established great civilizations. However, their great accomplishments have been ignored, and as they are being brought to the forefront, some find it challenging to imagine how the greatness of Africa could coexist while observing its current post-colonial state. It is worth noting that some African history is omitted because it would mean that Christian Western countries would be promoting the accomplishments of Muslim African people. An example of this is Timbuktu in the Muslim kingdom of Mali. In the 14th century, during the reign of Mansa Musa, the richest person to ever live, Timbuktu became a center of learning of Islam, astrology, mathematics, history, and medicine. It rivaled ancient Egypt in the way it educated its people and welcomed all who desired to learn in the universities. Arabic was to Africa what Latin was to Europe, as a way to encourage literacy and the spread of religion through educational institutions. While it is well documented that Europeans visited Timbuktu to learn with others from around the world, the influence of Timbuktu on Europe as it was exiting the Dark Ages, is not often mentioned in Western history. Each individual should decide whether their account of history and the progress of humankind will only be based in celebrating the accomplishments of those who look like them, worship like them, and or believe like them. Ultimately, for people of African descent, the decision to acknowledge all of Africa's diverse history is an effort to fully know oneself. Have you ever considered this? Europeans hold tightly to the legacies of the Greek and Roman empires. Even though after Rome's last emperor was defeated, Europe was plunged into the Dark Ages, which lasted roughly 1,000 years, from 500 AD to 1500 AD. However, while Europeans were enduring the wars and invasions that marked this time, Africa continued to thrive in education, science, mathematics, medicine, architecture, trade, etc. As Europe was exiting the Dark Ages, Africa was entering one of its own. For more than 500 years, Africa has endured the enslavement of European Christians on the west coast of Africa, with even longer enslavement by Arab Muslims on the east coast of Africa, followed by destruction and looting of African artifacts and treasures, ultimately leading to colonization by Western European countries. When civilizations die, they often take most of the evidence of who they were with them, and those who follow are left to piece the history back together again. Should there not be an expectation that Africa will rise again? Without fail, history shows that civilizations rise and fall, and at some point the conquerors are conquered, and other civilizations rise to take their places. As one examines historical context, the importance of unity between the disenfranchised peoples of African descent becomes more evident. Whether a descendant of those who remained to be colonized on the African continent, or a descendant of those who were forcibly kidnapped from its shores and carried to the New World, we are all daughters and sons of Africa. I still recall being at a research conference for Black scholars a few years ago and hearing a continental African professor speak about Africa. She closed her lecture with this statement: Africa has been great before, and Africa will be great again. Africa is rising. It was the first time I had heard anyone say anything like that. But after that lecture, I seemed to hear people everywhere saying it. Africa is rising. Africa is rising. As my family and I have reconnected with the continent, and I have expanded my knowledge outside of what has been presented in the United States, I have begun to see the world in a totally new way. And I've joined in the chorus with so many others in proclaiming Africa, with so many of her children around the world, is rising.
Okay, people.
Hey!
You were warned
Hey!
earlier on to proceed to page 48. But because you have selected to ride along with us in this journey, let us take an opportunity to bring forward to you a little information to your itching ears.
Let's start here.
Africa is rising.
Now you have to say it the way I said. I'm going to be a teacher here.
Yes.
Africa is rising. Africa is rising. Africa is rising. Can you say that with me?
I can.
Okay.
Africa is rising. Africa is rising. Africa is rising.
Yes.
Woo! How does that feel? How does that feel?
I'm
going to tell you guys, I'm very excited. I just want to go ahead and jump in because, when we're talking about these contradictions, allowing your paradigm to be shattered, it's going to take some courage. It's going to take some courage. It's going to take some courage for you to stand up on the inside, to actually read, to actually embark on a journey that is going to have to cause you to stand up and to be courageous around family and friends.
Yeah.
To really slow walk this thing and find out where you fit in. It says here, it says ultimately for people of African descent, the decision to acknowledge all
My God,
of
today.
Africa's diverse history is an effort to fully know oneself. I mean, as we were going through this, Dr. Mason has taken opportunity to begin to unlock some of the discrepancies that were happening. And they're not, we're not ignorant to the fact of colonialism and all of the turmoil that was caused. It happened, but I think that's where we stop at, of where it happened. But let's go ahead and really investigate this thing and take note of some of the things before and really allow those things to sink in. Is it worth nothing, or is it worth noting?
It is worth.
Yeah, it is worth noting that some African history is omitted because it would mean that Christian Western countries would be promoting the accomplishments of Muslim African people. An example of this is Timbuktu in the Muslim kingdom of Mali. In the 14th century, during the reign of Mansa Musa, the richest person that ever lived, Timbuktu became the center of early learning of Islam, astronomy, mathematics, history, and medicine. I can keep on and keep it on reading. But how many of you guys ever heard of Mansa Musa?
Let me put it like this. How many people can say that any other group of people, let me come from the United States. If you and your people had the richest person to ever live. Now, this is not way back in the day he was the richest person. He's still richer than anybody, than the richest of our people. In today's economy, he would still be the richest person. He is the richest person to have ever lived, and it's documented. He was going throughout Egypt, dropping gold. He was messing up the economy of Egypt because he was putting, giving, passing out gold like it was sand and such. Okay. What people group, if they had this, that they wouldn't teach it in all their books. If you really cared, if the system as it sits really cared about equality, then we would all know of our greatness. There's no, you didn't, please. I think someone now, they put it in a book, they say he was a rich man named Mansa Musa. Most of us.
Can I tell you guys something? Just like it takes more muscle in your face to frown, it takes more energy and more muscle to subserve,
to hide
and
stuff
hide
and put it
and put it under and secluded. Do you know how much energy that European nation has taken to not only destroy African culture, religion,
artifacts,
civilization,
and everything,
and just pillage
to hide it,
to hide it. I mean, and then even the years after, up to today, to not acknowledge and not come forward.
It is the reason why there's so much fear, and you have to. I would just encourage you to recognize that part too. When you are basing your personal ideology on the ideology of modern society, majority culture, and things like that, you are basing it largely in fear. It is the reason why there's so much fear that, oh my goodness, we're so afraid of Black people. Well, you're so afraid of Black people because, first of all, you know what you've done. That's number one. Number two is, you know how you would respond if it was done to you. That's number two. But we're in this culture. You can't allow the foundation of who you are to be based in this, because it's based in fear. It's based in theft. It's based in destruction.
And so what you have to do is more than just acknowledge. We have to read, we have to study, we have to meditate, and we have to see ourselves and speak with our ancestors, speak with, ourselves,
however
in
that,
prayer and meditation, and get quiet
and
and allow these truths to come real. Because when the truths come real, then that means we don't live in fear and self-hate anymore. That means we identify. We may be compassionate on one end, but there might be a righteous indignation to stand up for and understand who you are. And you begin not to settle for you won't begin to settle for mediocrity.
Exactly.
That's being so dominant in our culture today. Mediocrity by one culture group to elect an individual to sit in the seat of the highest, person in the land, and to be mediocre in education, thought, perspective, finances, and everything, and to be lauded over as this is our leader. It doesn't matter. Knowing that if it was in any other people group, that this person would have been ran out of, leadership and thrown to the side. But the fact is that people are saying that this is okay, should cause you to have questions, to go back and say, you know what, if that's okay for them, and this looks all right for
this is the wrong vote. Am I
you know what? It's okay for me to go back and to read and to understand all of our importance and who we are.
Exactly.
So, wow.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's really important that we understand in our addressing the contradictions, in our addressing these things, that we are literally taking ownership of the thing that's been most enslaved in us, and that's our mind. That doesn't mean you're going to end up thinking exactly like me. You won't. But at least you'll be believing a thing because you were fully persuaded of that thing. So
go ahead, guys, take time and please go to webuildlegacy.com and download your free resource, What's Black Love Got to Do with It? We're just finishing up allowing your paradigm to be shattered.
Yes.
We want you to follow along with us. Make comments on the link in the YouTube comment section below so that we can go back and review and have conversations about this lessons and the ones to follow. We so appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're following along and going on this journey. I really made this resource to just really unpack it one step at a time. I wanted people to understand how I got from where I was to where I am now. And I wanted that to be, I was very meticulous in the wording. I was very strategic in how I decided I wanted to say things, because I know there are others of you out there who want to know a path. Just
Dr. Dula,
ask the childlike questions, and don't be so afraid.
Dr. Dula, we wanted to say thank you. We want to say thank you for your research. We want to say thank you for the months of you crying and toiling over this work. Yeah, we thank you and we honor you.
Thank you,
Dr. Mason, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see what more of this talk brings us.
Yes, thank you, babe.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. See you guys.
We'll be back. Can't wait to see